Welcome to today's deep dive. It's really great to have you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Whether you're, prepping for a meeting, catching up on some professional reading, or maybe you're just curious about how human beings actually learn and grow.
You are definitely in the right place.
Yeah, because today we're taking a close look at a simple question, but it has some really complex implications.
Very complex.
How do you actually measure learning when there are no tests, no grades, and no report cards?
It's a profound question, really, because we operate in a society that is just, it's heavily reliant on metrics,
Oh, absolutely.
tracking, scoring, measuring nearly everything we do. But the source material we're exploring today offers a really compelling alternative paradigm to all of that.
Right. And our source for this deep dive is this fascinating educational guide. Specifically, we're looking at an excerpt from a curriculum focused on, it's called Week 6, Noticing Growth and Celebrating.
Right.
What makes this material so unique is the target audience. It's a guide aimed directly at parents.
Specifically mothers.
Yes, mothers who are stepping into that role of being their child's very first teacher.
And while the curriculum is tailored for mothers guiding early childhood development,
Hmm.
the insights it contains about human motivation, the psychology of learning, how we actually measure progress, it's entirely universal.
It really is.
It strips the whole concept of education down to its absolute foundational elements,
Yeah.
completely removing that institutional framework we're so used to.
So here's our mission for this deep dive. We want to explore this source's idea that progress is entirely visible without formal testing.
Completely visible.
We're going to discover how small, everyday moments serve as the true markers of growth. And we're going to uncover how redefining a simple concept like praise can alter a learner's mindset permanently.
It's a big shift.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. The curriculum starts with a highly empowering assertion. It explicitly states that as a mother, you do not need tests or grades to know that your child is learning.
What's fascinating here is how immediately the source challenges our traditional view of what school or learning is actually supposed to look like.
Yeah.
It shifts the focus entirely away from quantitative scores, the numbers on a page.
The percentages.
Exactly, the percentiles. And it moves it squarely toward qualitative observations. It essentially asks the mentor to become an observer of human behavior.
Rather than an administrator of exams.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
usually we assume learning is only happening when someone is, well, sitting at a desk.
Looking at a worksheet.
Yeah, or filling in bubbles on a quiz. But the text explicitly argues that cognitive development is happening even when it looks absolutely nothing like formal schoolwork.
The source actually outlines specific, observable signs of growth that do not rely on paper and pencil at all.
Tell me more about that.
Well, it instructs the mother to watch her child's words, their actions, their confidence, and their curiosity.
Words, actions, confidence, curiosity.
Those four elements are presented as the true metrics of early learning. When a child talks more, asks more questions, or just demonstrates joy during a learning moment.
That's the data.
That is the qualitative data that actually matters.
I like to think of these as micro milestones.
Micro milestones, I like that term.
The guide gives some highly relatable examples of this, too. It points out that growth often appears in tiny moments, like a child using a single new word.
Or maybe telling a slightly longer story than they did yesterday.
Right. It might be recognizing a familiar sign on the street or making a drawing that just has a fraction more detail than the last one they did.
It's subtle.
It reminds me of watching a plant grow on your windowsill.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
If you stare at it every single day, you don't really notice the tiny changes.
No, it feels like absolutely nothing is happening.
Exactly. But then you pause, you take a step back, and suddenly you realize there's an entirely new leaf there.
That is a perfect analogy for the observational process the text is describing. And the source goes further to explain why this specific act of noticing is so critical.
Why does it matter so much?
It argues that when a parent or a teacher pauses to intentionally notice these simple changes, it actively strengthens the child's desire to keep learning.
Wow.
The act of observation itself becomes a tool for motivation.
That's a major shift in perspective. It's not just about the parent feeling a sense of accomplishment that the child learned something. The act of noticing is actually a mechanism that fuels the next stage of learning.
Yes. The underlying psychology here is significant. These changes might seem simple to an adult, right? But they represent massive cognitive leaps for a child.
Right, like the sign on the street.
Exactly. Recognizing a familiar sign isn't just a cute moment. It is the foundational building block of environmental literacy.
And drawing a more detailed picture.
Isn't just making art. It represents the development of fine motor skills.
Spatial awareness.
Spot on. By validating those specific micro-milestones, the parent is building an invisible scaffolding. They are showing the child that their interaction with the world has deep value.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The text doesn't just say, encourage the learner.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It provides highly specific guidelines on exactly what that encouragement should sound like. It draws this massive line in the sand between the kind of praise we're culturally used to hearing.
And the kind of praise that actually builds resilience.
Yes.
The source is very prescriptive here. It suggests using exact phrases like, I see how hard you tried.
Or, you remembered that story.
Right.
Notice what's missing from those examples. The guide does not suggest saying, you are so smart.
Boy, you got that perfectly right.
This raises an important question. Well, wait.
Go ahead.
This raises an important question about what we are actually valuing when we give praise. The text has a very explicit directive. Praise effort, not perfection.
We really have to stop and think about the mechanism behind that. Why is praising effort so much more powerful than praising a perfect outcome? Or praising innate intelligence?
Well, wait, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
If we only praise the effort, doesn't a child or, any learner still need to know when they get an answer wrong?
Of course.
So how does the text balance validating someone's effort with teaching them actual accuracy?
It's a really common concern. But praising effort doesn't mean ignoring mistakes. It means decoupling the learner's self-worth from the final outcome.
Decoupling the self-worth.
Exactly. When you praise intelligence, telling someone they are smart because they got an answer right,
Yeah.
you inadvertently teach them that their worth is tied to perfection.
And when they aren't perfect.
The moment they encounter a problem they can't solve easily, they feel dumb. And they often quit just to protect their ego. They become terrified of making a mistake.
That makes so much sense.
However, if you praise the effort, saying, I see how hard you worked on that, you teach the child that the act of struggling, the act of attempting something difficult, is what holds value.
So mistakes just become part of the process rather than a threat to their identity?
Precisely. It builds what psychologists call a growth mindset. The learner understands that their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work.
The process is the goal.
Right. If they get an answer wrong, it simply means they need to try a different strategy, not that they're inherently flawed.
That takes an enormous amount of pressure off the child.
It really does.
And honestly, applying that to our own lives, it takes a lot of pressure off adult learners, too. It changes how you approach learning a new language or even navigating a new software system at work.
Absolutely.
Speaking of taking the pressure off, I was struck by how the source redefines the concept of celebration itself.
The guide's approach to celebration is wonderfully grounded.
Yeah, because when we think of celebrating an educational milestone, we usually picture, a graduation party.
A certificate.
A gold star buying a reward. It's usually something big, something external. But the text breaks celebration down to its absolute simplest, most cost-effective form.
It explicitly states that celebration does not need to be big or costly.
The specific details listed in the text really reflect this accessibility. It suggests a smile.
A hug.
Kind words.
It even suggests just telling a family member about the child's progress while the child is listening,
I love that one.
or simply letting the child share something they are proud of with you.
That is the entire celebration.
Yeah.
And the text claims that these incredibly simple moments are enough to build massive confidence.
It essentially democratizes learning. It sends the message that you do not need expensive resources, elaborate reward systems, or a specialized environment to foster world-class cognitive development.
Just you.
Your focused attention and a genuine smile are the most powerful developmental tools you possess.
That's amazing.
And if we apply this to adult environments, think about how transformative it would be in a workplace.
Well, for sure.
We often wait for the annual review to celebrate an employee. But what if a manager simply noticed a small, improved effort on a random Tuesday and pointed it out?
The motivational impact would be profound.
Exactly.
Which brings us to a beautiful twist in this source material. We've spent this entire time talking about the learner's progress. But the text emphasizes that week 6 of this curriculum isn't just about the child.
No, it's not.
It's also a dedicated time for the parent to celebrate themselves.
This is a vital and often completely overlooked component of educational literature. The text explicitly directs the mother to notice how she has grown in her role as a teacher.
It points out specific areas of parental growth to look for. Things like feeling more confident as a mother.
Using your voice more intentionally.
Right. And simply finding enjoyment in learning moments together, it validates the mentor.
Mentorship and teaching, especially parenting, required immense emotional labor. The source takes time to acknowledge that deeply important, often completely unseen work. It highlights that the mother has learned to talk more, to listen better, and to actively use everyday moments for learning.
It specifically validates her by stating, your patience and consistency matter.
Your patience and consistency matter.
Think about how rarely parents or teachers or managers hear those words.
Very rarely.
We are usually so hyper-focused on the student's output or the team's metrics that we completely forget to validate the person holding the space for that learning to happen in the first place.
And the text doesn't just offer this validation as a passing thought either. It builds it into a structured routine.
Yes, the weekly check-in.
Right. It guides the reader through this specific, quiet reflection exercise.
The reflection questions are remarkably simple. It asks the mother to take a quiet moment and answer just two things. First, what is one new thing my child does now?
And second, what is one habit I want to keep?
Just those two.
The brilliance of those two questions lies entirely in their constraint. It doesn't ask for a comprehensive developmental assessment.
No spreadsheets required.
Exactly. It asks for one new thing, one habit. When you are teaching or parenting, the sheer volume of things to track can lead to severe cognitive overload.
Definitely.
By forcing the mentor to isolate a single specific positive observation, the curriculum cuts right through the overwhelm.
And after those questions, the source provides a powerful one-sentence reflection exercise to complete. It's a fill-in-the-blank that reads, over the past 6 weeks, I am proud of blank.
There is deep psychological value in that exercise. It creates a permanent, written record of progress.
Putting it down on paper.
Right. When you write down what you are proud of, whether it's your child's new ability to recognize a letter or your own ability to maintain your patience during a really difficult afternoon, you are solidifying that growth in your own mind.
You are generating tangible proof for yourself that the daily effort is yielding results.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean for the day-to-day routine?
Good question.
If I am a parent listening to this, I might be entirely sold on the philosophy, but I'm probably wondering how to actually execute this on a random, exhausting Wednesday.
Right, when everyone's tired.
Does the guide offer a bridge between this high-level mindset and actual daily life?
It does. The text provides a very clear try this at home section. It functions as a practical toolkit.
Okay, what's in the toolkit?
Importantly, the actionable steps synthesized from the source are wonderfully straightforward. They require zero prep time and no special materials.
That's a relief.
The text suggests choosing just one or two simple activities to weave into the day.
For instance, it suggests asking your child to retell a favorite story.
That specific activity is a great exercise in narrative sequencing.
Narrative sequencing.
Yes, it teaches the child how to organize information chronologically,
Right.
which is a critical skill for reading comprehension later on.
Another suggestion is playing a short sound or rhyming game.
Let's break down why that matters. When you play a rhyming game, you are building phonetic awareness. Basically, before a child can ever read the letters C-A-T on a page, their brain has to be able to hear and manipulate the individual sounds in spoken language.
Ah, I see.
Rhyming games are the mental gym where that auditory muscle gets built.
The guide also recommends pointing to your child's name or a familiar word out in the world.
That bridges the gap between spoken language and print recognition.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the learner that those abstract squiggles on a sign or a piece of paper actually carry concrete meaning.
That makes total sense. And finally, looking at drawings your child has made and talking about them.
Right.
It reminds me of trying to teach my nephew to draw. I used to just say, good job, without thinking much about it.
Very common.
But applying this framework, I realized I should be asking him to tell me a story about why he grew the dog bigger than the house.
Exactly. It is about engagement, not
Ah.
just a quick evaluation.
That's a big difference.
That is a great real-world application. You are shifting from evaluating the art to encouraging his expressive communication.
Right.
What is crucial across all these examples is that the text connects these specific, highly manageable actions to the core habits it wants parents to carry forward long-term.
The take-home habits are essentially just talking out loud, telling stories, playing with sounds, noticing print, and discussing creations.
And the text explicitly reassures the reader with the phrase, "Small daily moments are enough."
Small daily moments are enough.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text is laying out an ultimate philosophy of education and human development.
Yeah.
It states clearly in its closing reminder, progress continues through love, presence, and simple habits.
I love that.
It completely rejects the idea of learning as an intense, grueling sprint toward a final test score. Instead, it frames learning as the gentle, persistent, daily accumulation of small, intentional interactions.
I want to make sure you, the listener, really absorb that line. Progress continues through love, presence, and simple habits.
Powerful.
As we look back on this journey through week 6 of this curriculum, the core takeaway is so refreshing. The guide actually tells the mother, there is nothing new to learn this week.
Nothing new.
Week 6 is simply about honoring the effort that has already been put in. Small daily moments are entirely enough. It's about noticing the roots that have already taken hold.
Exactly.
I want to share the exact closing encouragement from the text because it is incredibly empowering. It says, you showed up, you tried, you made learning part of everyday life. You are, and always have been, your child's first and most important teacher.
For you listening to this deep dive right now, I think there is a profound sense of relief to be found in this source material.
Huge relief.
Whether you are a parent raising a toddler, a seasoned professional mentoring a new employee, or just an individual trying to learn a completely new skill yourself, this document is a crucial reminder. Growth doesn't always need a formal score to be real. Confidence, curiosity, and human connection, those are the true, lasting metrics of success.
The tiny, quiet moments of dedicated effort matter far more than the final grade.
It absolutely changes the lens through which you view your entire day.
It really does.
This raises an important question to leave you with today. If early childhood education, the very foundation of how human beings learn to interact with the world, thrives on noticing quiet, everyday moments of effort rather than testing for perfection,
Yeah.
what would happen if we applied this exact same standard to older students,
Wow.
or even to ourselves as adults in our careers? How would our entire society shift if we stopped measuring our self-worth by arbitrary scores and constant evaluations and instead built our lives around noticing and celebrating our simple daily progress?
That is a massive paradigm shift to consider. Start measuring your worth by the score and start celebrating the daily effort. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We hope you take a moment to look around, find one small micro milestone in your own life or work, and celebrate it. Keep noticing the growth, and we will catch you next time.